I was like, well, it's about solidarity. It's about sisterhood. It's about suntanning, and, when somebody tries to ask you to distill something down, it always tells you, like, oh, maybe I don't know what I'm
talking about.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Music.gay. Buckle up, because today I'm going to attempt to set the record for the number of times someone says bitch during a podcast. And not just for fun, mind you, but because my incredible guest today is none other than the legendary Bitch. Woo! A multifaceted, polymath, multi-instrumentalist, poet, pop witch who rocks hard with dance-worthy political anthems, environmental lamentations, and operatic instrumentals, as Louder Than War put it. She grew up in the Midwest, a violin-sawing tot with a tap-dancing studio in her basement. She went on to become half of the iconic queer folk dyke punk duo Bitch and Animal, where she toured with the likes of Ani DiFranco, and in the mid-2000s, Bitch went solo and shared a stage with the Indigo Girls, acted in the film Short Bus, wrote alongside comedian Margaret Cho, produced albums with folk hero Farron, and even licensed music to the L Word. Almost a decade ago, she started putting down the groundwork for her latest album, Bitchcraft, and this project has followed her from New York City into the woods and back out onto the other coast in LA. She manifested a super team of artists from Previn of Beyonce, Madonna, and Demi Lovato fame to Goddess, Roma Barron, Melissa York, and Faith Soloway to help her complete this masterpiece, and complete it they did, and masterpiece it is. Bitchcraft was birthed after almost a decade of gestation into its synth-filled, string-slinging poet pop place in this world, and it is wonderful. I bought it on Bandcamp the other day. I recommend you do the same. I have been rocking it ever since. Yet another well-spent coin into the Kill Rock Stars catalog. Bitch's music. It is a set of Lisa Frank-inspired acrylic nails lightly scratching up your spinal column and giving you electro-pop chills in the back of your gray matter. Her music is 2 parts dance to 1 part heartbreak. It's challenging to the structures, but it's easy on the eardrums. It's a lot of fun and a little fuck you. You can find Bitch at bitchmusic.com or on Instagram at bitchmusic. And yeah, it's spelled exactly like it sounds. This summer, 2024, catch Bitch live as she does her one-woman show every Wednesday in Provincetown, Massachusetts. It's called Hey Bitch, and it's a funny and heartfelt coming-of-age story that will take you on a musical journey to Planet Bitch using the song from Bitch's album, Bitchcraft. She will also be releasing a new version of the Bitch and the Animal hit, Pussy Manifesto, so look out for that. And if you're catching this episode in the fall of 2024, check the site, bitchmusic.com, to see where Bitch will be as she tours through the Northeast and the Midwest. She's here, she's queer, she's got nothing to fear, and I am so delighted to welcome the one and only Bitch.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's such an honor to have you here.
Yes, thank you.
So I want to launch in here.
Okay.
You and I meet at a very confusing speed dating event, and I ask you, who are you and what do you do?
Ooh, I'm a musician and performance artist, and I mostly move a bunch of shit around the country all the time. And I play music about 10% of the time.
Yeah. 90% moving, 10% music. What are you moving around? Equipment, gear, elaborate sets like the one you're in right now? Or
yes,
costumes?
Mostly, costume pieces. Mm-hmm. My recent tour, I've been kind of working out this version of this play that I've been doing. So I've been lugging like giant notebooks, giant pencils, all sorts of props, to every like scuzzy rock club in America.
Yeah, cool. That's fun. You do the full setup for it, yeah?
I was when Bitchcraft came out. Yeah, that's what I toured with. I wrote like this narrative piece.
Yeah. Cool.
And then now I've been more developing it, thinking of it, in a theater, etc. So I started playing just like regular old rock shows again.
Yeah, nice. That's kind of nice. They're probably less U-Hauls behind you on your way to the shows now.
Exactly.
For the record, anyone who wants to see what we're talking about right now, I know this is a podcast. It is on YouTube, so maybe you're watching us. Hi. Go check out Pages, and we're going to talk about Pages in a bit. But Pages has what I would say is a pretty full elaborate set with giant pencils, giant highlighters, giant everything. It touched me in a very deep love for office supplies place that I think I developed in middle school and high school. And the Lisa Frank imagery it's so neon, so beautiful.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad it translated.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Why bitch? Why the name bitch? Let's start there. It can be a polarizing word, but it's bitch.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a decision I made in my 20s that I'm now stuck with.
Yep. We've all got some of those.
And, Animal and I named ourselves, back in the day in the middle of like a mushroom-infused feminist revelation.
Uh-huh.
And,
Yep.
naming myself
So that
bitch
your
was
parents,
like...
Your parents didn't name you bitch? That's not on your birth certificate?
Can you
God.
believe it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I will tell you by the end of this interview if you want to know what they named me. Because it's
100%.
also ironic.
Love it.
Yeah, so it was like this way to reclaim a word that's generally used to insult powerful women.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's
Bitch,
the cloak I've been wearing.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's really cool. And you grew up, I think, in already sort of like that powerful woman space. You had musicians in the household. You had dancers in the household. What was going on with your
I love
childhood?
Yeah.
Or perhaps not. Maybe I have it completely backwards.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I'm like, okay, were they empowered? I think my mom was like, as I reflect, I do think my mom was having her own like feminist issues, like she used to complain to me that my parents are English, first of all. So they came here right after they were married in 1965. And, like my mom, for example, like couldn't get a checking account without her husband's signature, things like that. So I think she was also in her own kind of like rage about that stuff. But, also like doing the thing of like having kids and getting married and putting all of your time into your husband's career, and anyway, but her passion was tap dancing. And she had a tap dancing school since she was 15 in England. And then when they moved here, she just always did that. She had a tap dancing school in our basement. And she was very musical. Both my parents were very musical. I don't know if you're familiar with the English people, but they always love a good like pub song.
Of course. Of course.
So, there was always music and singing around. And I have two older sisters, so we all sang and grew up singing. And my mom like raised us on show tunes and that kind of thing.
So your mom birthed a choir, basically.
She birthed a choir, exactly.
Yeah. Nice.
Her own backup singers.
I love that. Did that in some ways affect your moving forward to become a musician? Like the fact that it was always in the house? Were you bucking against any of the style of music and how you decided to sort of like create your own music? Or?
Ooh, yeah. I think there's, a few steps of that. Like, it's funny because my mom and I have different stories about why I started playing violin, but my story is that what I remember is I heard the violin on Sesame Street.
Okay.
And I was like obsessed with it and was just like, I was just begging my parents to get me one at 3.
Wow. Yeah.
And because we were like kind of show people, like that, my mom always says like, I don't know where you get this music thing from. I'm like, Mom, here.
Look around you.
Exactly. First of all, there was music consistently like beaming from our kitchen floor,
Yeah.
And like I said, we all sang and all of that, but there were no like instrumentalists in our family. My mom's brother was an instrumentalist. So I always try to point out these things to her. Like there are actually people in our family who play and anyway, so I think I heard it on Sesame Street. She thinks there was this one night where they were doing like a dinner party. My dad, had to entertain a lot for his job or whatever. And they were doing a dinner party and some guy brought a violin. And she said that I was like attached to that guy all night, just like all starry eyed. And she thought it came from that. So But yeah, I started with classical. I started in Suzuki because I was only 4.
Represent
And
Suzuki
you did
method.
too?
Oof, I sure did. Is that a Midwest thing? Because I've mentioned that to a few other people, and they're like, "Suhu," I'm like,
No.
Suzuki.
Really?
It's huge, right? It was huge, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I would think that's not just a Midwest thing, but who knows?
Who knows?
The older I get, the less I know.
I know.
Yeah, so I started
It's
with
liberating,
that.
isn't it?
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, so I started with that, doing the Suzuki thing, and then maybe around 8 or 9, like switched over to just kind of regular classical. And yeah, like did that all through middle school, high school.
Nice.
You know, it was a very
And
like
orchestra and all that.
Yep, I did
Yeah.
like the youth symphony and
Cool.
the orchestra in our school wasn't that great, so I did this like youth symphony that was like in the town, so it's like all different kids from different
And you
schools.
were living where at this time?
So now at this point I'm in the suburbs of Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah, so we left Pittsburgh when I was like 11 and then
That
moved
tracks.
to the
That track. I was also kind of, in listening to music, I'm like, there's so much fun and playfulness in it, but there's also this edge. And I was like, is this the Pacific Northwest edge? A little bit, but maybe not quite. And then I was like, to hear you say Detroit, I'm like, that tracks. Like I could definitely hear some of the Detroit in you.
Ooh,
That's
I
cool.
take that as a high compliment.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I was just like a white girl in the suburbs, like,
Yeah.
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 But then you get older and you're like, oh, right, of course all of that was influencing me.
Exactly.
And like
Yeah.
in high school, we're going out to like there was a huge house thing. And, I mean, obviously Detroit's a huge music place. So,
Yeah. Big time.
yeah. And like, I think for me, my family just kind of always assumed that I would then go on to like study classical music. And I felt
Interesting.
very like oppressed by it.
Yeah.
There was like I would go to these in one way I really enjoyed like playing in a symphony is like
Totally.
nothing else. I mean, what did you grow up playing?
I grew up playing piano. Classical piano is what I trained Suzuki in. And then I played cello for a while, which I'm just not too long ago bought a cello again that I haven't played in 20 years basically.
Going back
I'm just
in.
starting to like sit there and be like, oh, I remember. It's
Yes.
so nice. But yeah, and then my uncle gave me a drum kit when I was 3 years old. So there was a lot of just noise issuing forth.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and there was like something about like playing in a symphony, like just the bigness of that, and like being part of that was like very memorable.
Yeah,
and then
transcendent, right? Like,
yeah,
you're a part of this thing that's so much bigger than any one of you.
Yes, and the timpanis are going, and the French horns, and there's 20 violins all playing the same thing, and very
and if you're
exciting.
playing Mahler, there might be like a cannon or a sledgehammer in the background somewhere.
Oh yes, I love Mahler.
Yeah.
And and then I also felt, there was like a time around it a little bit felt like I had to choose between like being a person and being a musician because of like the classical was so intense, like how much you had to practice and how serious and like alone you had to be.
Yeah.
It was very like isolating in this way. And I remember like my teacher, he, was a player in the DSO. He was like, at 16, he was like, you have to make a decision. Like, you're either going to do this, and then that means you have to practice 3 hours a day. Mm-hmm. And I was already, like, a little bit, like, cheating, I was a little bit like, I practiced,
Yeah.
You're, like, also, like, trying to be a teenager and have a life,
Yeah, totally.
And then, and I also felt very oppressed by the costumes of it all. We used to have to wear like the floor length skirts and these like, it just felt so like
no fishnets, no dyed hair.
No fishnets, no flair, no personality,
Yeah. I can see just barely I can see you in a symphony. But I think looking at what I'm looking at now, I'm like, it might have felt a little oppressive. Yeah.
And it's funny because I know so many violinists who have like branched out and are now in bands.
Of course.
They're always kind of the kooky ones.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's just me projecting, but like
that is the truth.
You know.
I've worked with plenty of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's only so much, you can have your life dictated by like dead old white guys, right? And
Yeah,
you're already
for
having
sure.
some of that that's foisted upon you. Maybe choosing to then kind of like submit to the symphony is not, it's not the move
Yeah.
for someone who's going to go on and become bitch. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
So what
Yeah.
is it that you love most about music generally? And we can move into your music that you're doing now as well. Like, what is it you love about what you're doing now? And on the flip side, what is it that you hate about music? Because there's something.
About like the job of it.
Okay. Is that the hate part? Is that what that brought up?
Well, I was kind of more clarifying. I mean, there's nothing I don't like about music.
Cool.
You know, actual music. I mean,
Yeah.
I can listen to, you know, any genre. I love all kinds of music, you know, and can appreciate. Yeah, I love music. I love the emotion of it. I love the way that it connects people. I love that, you know, even in different languages, like people can, you know, all go to a similar emotional place. I love the drama of it, the meditation of it. I mean, you know, there's so many aspects of it that I feel like I'll spend the rest of my life like kind of chasing.
Cool.
You know? The thing I hate about it is the schlep.
Yeah.
I swear I have PTSD from like loading, unloading.
Like genuinely though. Yeah, I believe that 100%. It's a lot of work. It's taxing on the body. It's taxing on the mind. It's, do I have this? Do I have this? Do I have this? Is this ready for this show? Do we need this for the next show, or is that something different? Like, yeah.
Oh, are they going to have a DI? Am I going to, you know, anyway, yeah. So it's all that kind of stuff that I just find so boring.
The logistics.
Yeah, the logistics, the schlepping, like the constantly carrying things.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
it be nice to just go back to just playing the violin and showing up with your violin and your sheet music?
Maybe that symphony life wasn't all that bad.
Yeah, right. Totally.
It's just some dumb long velvet skirt and my violin and a stand and the music and a pencil.
Yeah. It's a whole different kind of weight you'd be carrying, though, I think, if you stuck with that. And also the pencils are only, you know, that big. That's not fun.
Not big enough.
You could have a giant pencil. When you, as a musician, is there something that like you feel people have horrible misconceptions about? Like as a professional musician, as someone who's doing this, I think a lot of people have a sense of what they think a musician is. Where do you think they're wrong?
I always say like it's way more like rest stops than glamour.
Yeah.
You know, people are like, oh, I love to be on a road trip, you know, and you're like, okay, it's not quite a road trip.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you have like 5 hours to make a 7-hour drive and, you know, the drummer's drunk and, you know.
Obviously. And the driver also. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Fun.
So I think like the perception that it's like all like really just like fun and glamorous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, honestly, I took a little break before Bitchcraft. Like I had been just like on this cycle of releasing albums every 2-3 years and just doing it. And then taking a break, like, it let me like actually spend a lot of time on an album, which was very freeing and liberating. And it also made me like miss it. Yeah. And like, now that, you know, even hearing myself bitch about it, I'm like, all right, bitch, shut up. Like, you love it. You know what I mean? Like, I've become less resentful of it. Yeah. Because, like, I kind of had to, like, choose it again. Yep. You know?
You're like, I could have walked away from this. Yeah. And I know what it was coming into it. And I wasn't still stuck in it. And I still chose to do it again.
Yes. Yeah. And it's
I don't know if that's masochism, like if we all have that in us as musicians, like, or if it's just kind of that's what we've come to expect. Like, hey, if you want to do the thing, you got to put up with the thing. Like, maybe, but also there is something fun about the like little bit of chaos that you get to just thrive on.
Live in. Yeah. And just like kind of relax into it. Yeah. And just like expect it, know that it's going to happen, and just be like, just going to enjoy myself here and shoot the shit with, you know, this person as we wait for, you know, the truck that never showed up or whatever it is.
Exactly. As far as your actual music itself, like when you play a show, when you write an album, when you take a decade to gestate something like this, like, is there something very specific that you're hoping to convey with your music, or is it something else? Is it not quite that you're aiming at something?
Good question. I think this was the first time I've ever actually thought about the album, thinking of it as like, even like now when I listen to Bitch and Animal records, I so know where we were, and we were like performance artists. Like the fact that we were even thinking about records, that was just this like, wait, what? We're musicians? Oh, okay. Well, we would just like kind of barf something out, however it came out that day.
Yeah.
That's how it got recorded. We weren't thinking about like, oh, this is actually going to be the thing that outlives us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think I've gotten, and then, as I progress, I'm like, okay, I've got these 10 songs written, so these are going to be the album, I've always wanted to write a concept album, which would be really cool.
Yeah.
But I think with Bitchcraft, I wanted like a vehicle to like amplify myself. Like
Cool.
there's a level of like bigness to it that I was definitely like going for.
Yeah.
Of being like the biggest I could imagine it.
Yeah.
Instead of being like confined by like, well, I play the violin and I know this oud player.
Yeah.
To be like, I can make any sound I want, and so there was like kind of this limitlessness that I was like, I wanted to like convey like a certain like, just like kind of huge sonic power.
Cool. Yeah. And I love that. I mean, hearing you say that, like, I wanted this to be the vehicle to like amplify you, and then thinking about even just the title and how multifaceted Bitchcraft is in that way, as something that's carrying bitch, but it's also like, it's witchcraft. It's all these powerful things that I think you really like, you put out there. And there's something that I've fallen in love with about your music is how powerful but not heavy-handed it is. There's something very playful and something very like there's subtext in it, but there's also, it's on the nose, right? It's saying this is what this song is about oftentimes, and you're not kind of like hiding that from anyone, but you're also at the end of the song, I don't feel like I've been bashed over the head with anything. Like there's nuance to it that I really appreciate. And I think in Bitchcraft, like, you did so many things that were fun and up and kind of had this happiness to them, but also had like some real shit going on underneath them, where you're like, oh damn, like that hits me, and I'm glad that it feels nice when it hits me a little bit, like,
right, and not right, bang you over the head with it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's something I feel like I've learned also about like live performance, is that like, I've been leaning on my comedy more lately, and what that does is it opens this portal for people. If they can 100%. Like start off laughing and be like 100%. And then boom, you get them with Polar Bear.
Yeah.
Then they're
100%.
open and ready to receive.
Yeah. I think that's so cool. And I think that's such a good way to look at it, as being like, let's open the door. Why don't you come on in? Why don't I show you what's going on before I show you all the crazy that's going on as well? Like, it's nice. It's nice to have that sense of like, and I think in all of your songs, there's like an invitation to listen, which is really nice and palpable. And speaking of the comedy stuff, I caught some of the videos of One Long Earring on YouTube, and I laughed my fucking dick off. Yes. It is so good. It's so good. It's like, it's that kind of comedy that like brings me personally right to the edge of like uncomfortable, and then like releases it so nicely. And I was like, oh God, it's so good. It's so self-aware. It's played so straight in so many ways. It's perfect.
Oh, good. Really good. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we've got another one cooking. We're going to record one in the next couple weeks. Yeah.
Good. I think, I mean, in addition to being a sonic artist, like, there is very clearly so much more in the way that you curate your style and the way that you set up your spaces, and in the presence that you have on YouTube. Like, you're a very thoughtful visual artist as well. And I'm wondering how much of that is like completely self-driven? And are there people that you're working with that are helping shape like the visuals, or is that's all Bitch?
Oh, great question. I mean, I definitely have a lot of collaborators, that I'll come to for kind of like each project, each music video, I would like work with a different director.
Nice.
And we would collaborate on like, what's the vision, and I would actually, I would pick people to work with based on like which song or what I thought, they could bring to it, whatever. Yeah, I definitely have a strong visual aesthetic that I love to, at some point, like I made the broom. I actually released You're the Man.
The bedazzled broom?
The bedazzled broom. I released You're the Man before I got the record deal with Kill Rock Stars. So we put that out and, I made the broom for that. I had a friend make that broom for me for that video shoot. And then it just became clear to me. I'm like, oh my God, this is like my power symbol. Yeah. Like I want her in everything.
Yeah.
And like she has to be like recurring, character. So it's been really fun too to like kind of incorporate like you put all this work into a music video. And then literally at the end of the Pages shoot, I was watching the woman like throw out some of those notebooks. I was like, oh my God. I've got to play.
These are my babies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, that's probably like the hippie recycler thrift store person in me, but also, like this album has been fun for me to actually pay attention to the visuals and to really honor that in myself because it is something that I value so much.
Yeah.
And I have amazing collaborators that I can go to, in a panic and be like, what should I wear?
Yeah. Dress me, mommy.
Yeah. Oh, I want that mommy.
Yeah. Oh, don't we all? Speaking of mommies, I mean, here's a little opportunity for you to be mommy to all your little bitchlings out there. Like, what is a piece of advice that you would give to musicians who are just starting out? And I'm talking like how to practice, how to book a show, how to grow an audience, what kind of gear you love most. Is there a plugin that you were like, hey, I started using this and it unlocked my ability to blah, 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 blah. Whatever front of mind for you. Little nuggets.
Front of mind, first thing that comes to my mind is use what you have.
Great.
Don't get intimidated by, well, I don't know this or I don't know that, Right. I mean, there are so many programs that I've like, made beats on, but, somebody will be like, wait, that's how you did it? Because I'm not didn't read the manual. I was just like, no, this will work, chop it up like this. So I think, using what you have and not, getting bogged down by what you don't know.
Yeah.
Something that I always believe in. And somebody said this to me when I was really young. And, they said, like, who you meet on your way up is who you meet on your way down. Like, just know that your career is always no matter who you are, you're going to have ebbs and flows. There's going to be times where you're riding high and there's going to be times where you are riding low.
Yeah.
And so, like, really just trying to be like, I mean, it's just like basic, like courteous, kind, all of that stuff to people and like rely on your community, like really like, bring people along with you.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like I wish I would have learned that a little earlier. I was kind of like defensive when I like had my first feelings of success. Like as if like maybe like people were like trying to take something from me.
Yeah, totally.
And like just, I wish I would have known like, oh, the more people I bring along, like it all just expands.
It amplifies, right?
Yeah.
Don't hoard success, right? Like
yes.
Yeah. There's something.
If somebody's like, I'm dying to meet that person, like introduce them, It's not going to take anything away from you,
Yeah, completely. There's a thing that my partner says to me all the time, and I think it's something maybe she heard from her family or whatever, but it's if you have troubles and you share them with others, they become divided. If you have successes and love and you share them with others, they become multiplied. And I love that, right? Like for anyone, this idea of the more that we're able to share these things on our way up, like you said, the more that those people are then going to be like putting their energy into that feeling, into that success. And
Yes. Explain the divided one. The more you do what? That you share?
Sure, burdens, right? Like weights, difficulties, all those things. When you share those with others, they become divided, right? Like you now have multiple people who are dealing with them, and it's not all on you. So it lessens that burden, and it increases that sense of like joy and love and success that happens.
Oh, so she's not saying don't share your weights and your burdens.
Oh, she's saying share your weights. Yeah, for sure. Share your weights, share your burdens, share the difficult things, also share the good things. Like, and I think there's some people who won't share either, right? And they think I can do all this myself, and then you got to do all of it yourself. Like, who really wants to do that?
Yeah. Good advice.
I think so. I agree. And speaking of, not doing things all by yourself, I do want to talk about Pages from Bitchcraft. And I know that there's probably a lot of people involved in it, but I know that it's got your mark all over it. To me, it's like this upbeat kind of bop that has, and I hope you don't take any offense to this. I can't imagine you would, but maybe. It's got like Lin-Manuel Miranda kind of sensibility and like hopefulness in it. There's something about the cadence. There's something about this, like, it's got this cool kind of like laid back vibe. It's got a lot of tasty, what I imagine was vocoder or really well done background vocals.
Yes.
There's this, the kind of like underlying self-awareness of the indelibility of like love coupled with the necessity to like move on from it sometimes. And then of course there's hooky violin, which I think you're quite famous for. And then tons of very gay neon colored office supplies, which we love. So,
yes.
It's a great song. And I think I'm curious to know like if you can walk me through the creative process, how you got to bringing it to life, what first gave you the idea, what writing process, demoing process, all that was like.
Sure. Yeah, this one, when you in the pre-interview and you said like, let's pick apart one of your songs. I mean, Pages had like the longest road, I would say, like the most changes.
Okay, cool.
And like I demoed that song probably in 2013.
Wow, cool.
And just wrote it to, I have a Keytar that
yeah, of course you do.
In my live show, I do the Pussy Manifesto on it.
Nice.
But I love my Keytar because it has these built-in beats.
Yeah.
And this was, okay, it was before I was always like a Pro Tools person. So the thing, during Bitchcraft, I actually moved over to Logic, which the thing I love about Logic is you can do like just program in a beat or whatever just to write to, because I am a very like beat driven person. I think that's from the tap dancing.
Yep.
So I had demoed this song with just a Keytar beat, and I had this kind of like esoteric poem that I had written. It was like a poem about sisterhood, and it was very esoteric. Okay, but I had this beat, tick 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 tick, like one of these like sped up Keytar beats.
Yeah.
And then I have this amazing cello sound on my Keytar that I can like tune down, and it feels like a big synth bass.
Nice.
And so I just like kind of found this thing of like, okay, I do the poem, and then that bass kicks in, and I just like wrote that violin line, and I recorded those violins that are in the chorus, like the ones that are still there were the original demo violins. Cool. Yeah, wow. Like I never replayed them.
Yeah.
It was just always like, as soon as those violins and that chorus came in, it was like, like it always like felt really good. Yeah. And I remember playing a bunch of my demos for Goddess, who's my friend who is a rapper. She's amazing. And she was raised by classical musicians. So like, she actually has a lot of, music knowledge and in that way. And she heard that one and she was like, oh my God, this song, like whatever it is, like that hook.
Yeah.
She's like, you've got to work on this song, because you demo all the time and you're like, what's going to stick? What do you like?
Exactly.
So she just always kept me going back to that song. And when it finally came time to, write the album, I was, pulling it back out, and, she really rode me on that song because I said, I really want to make a pop album. like I feel like I've made a lot of albums that are like very like arty, you know, and don't follow a lot of structure and things like that, which, you know, is great. But like, I really wanted to, you know, write, you know, something like more poppy, you know?
Pop is so much fun, right? It's so much fun.
So much fun. I used to think it was like a sellout or something.
Yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
like, so into it.
Who doesn't like eating candy? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so
exactly. Yeah, and so she's like, you know, she listened to it, you know, was working on it and like just really trying to fit my esoteric poem into, you know, kind of more of a structure. And she was just like, B, what is this poem even about? She's like, I can't. She's like, I need something so simple. You've got to just like dumb it down. Like, I need to understand like what it is you're singing about. And so I just like, you know, I kept playing with it. And in the meantime, like I'm working on the other songs and, you know, You're the Man was already out. Easy Target, I think, was already done. So, you know, I'm like starting to like collect the ones that are done and, you know, fully formed. And she just, I went through like, during the making of this album, I went through a pretty big breakup. And she just basically like gave me a writing assignment. She was like, I feel like this song, instead of like whatever you were trying to say in that poem, because I couldn't even articipate what I was trying to say. I was like, well, it's about solidarity. It's about sisterhood. It's about suntanning, you know. And, you know, when somebody tries to ask you to distill something down, it always tells you like, oh, maybe I don't know what I'm
talking about.
Yeah. So she was like, why don't you write this? Like, if you're talking about the pages and like, this is like your notebook that I always write in and, you know, she sees me on tour. I always carry that notebook. What if it's just like, you've just like opened up your notebook and you've realized like, oh my God, like I never thought I would be here. Like here I am in this like new chapter of my life. And like, you know, she's just like, write from right now. Yeah. Like right where you are with this breakup. Cause she was also like a really good friend to me during that time. Like, you know, she was the friend I was like calling, crying and, you know, that was really just like holding me through it, you know? And she was just like, write that.
Yeah.
You know? Nice. And so,
Sage advice. Yeah.
Sage advice. Yeah. So and just like the keep it simple, stupid lyrically, that's really fun for me because it's actually really hard to keep it simple.
Way hard.
Yeah. Like you think hard. Like you hear some of these pop songs, you're like, oh yeah, you know, that's that's
we love each
basic.
other. We kiss, smooch. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, I can't do this.
You try to do one,
Yeah.
And then the other fun thing about that song is there was always like a different beat for it. It was very like 4 on the floor, like starting out like almost right at the top of the verse. And it's because like the guy Roger that was one of my co-producers on that song, like he was always just basing it off my Keytar demo. Yep. You know, and that's what was in the Keytar. It was like yeah. And you know, so he was just going with that, but like we never like zoomed back and thought, what should
does this need to be different? Yeah.
And Anne motherfucking Previn at the last minute, who, you know, she had been somebody who like listened to all my demos. Like she was like helping me like, you know, decide like which song to work on, which songs to put energy into. She was like, there's something about that beat. She's like, I just feel like I'm being bashed over the head with it. Like, why does it? And she's like,
why is it going to be so relentless?
Yeah, it was relentless. And we were in like the final hour. Like I was going to mastering like the next week.
Oh, wow.
And she was like, will you send me stems? She all casual. She's like, will you send me stems to pages? I want to try something on that beat. And I was like, what? Like we're already done, you know?
Yeah, and she happens to know something about pop music, I think.
Oh, she's a genius. She is a total genius. Yeah, so I got her the stems. And she came back with that. Like, you know, she stripped everything back. And so, like, you know, it just, like, it gives so much more life to, like, the vocoder and all those amazing, like, sonic candy things that were there. Yeah. You know? And then once it actually, like, kicks in the chorus and it's like, it just became like a, you know, the windows are down, you're driving, you know, it's cruising summer, song. You know? Yeah. Whereas the other one was more like, you know, and I
the
heard
windows are up, you're on cocaine, you're driving, it's winter. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, I called her when I heard that. I was like, I could kiss you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is amazing. So I felt like she just like came in for the win at the end.
Yeah. Breathed new life into it. That's cool. That's huge.
Yeah.
Those moments are always so nice too, when you've been working on something, and especially like there's this term in the industry, which I'm sure you're familiar with, but for listeners, like demoitis, this idea that like the original demo or the original something that you did to construct this song, like gets so ingrained into your brain that it becomes impossible to like let go of it until someone comes and wrenches it away and like gives you something better. And then all of a sudden you can be like, oh shit, this is better. And like those moments when somebody else takes something that you spent so much time on and have become so hooked into, when they take that and they bring it back to you and go, but what about this? And you're like, that's it. This is the song this is meant to be. It's like birth. It's like this new birth of something. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Like,
well, it's an amazing story on Pages. It's cool.
Yeah. That one was just so revelatory, because still every time I play it, I'm like, oh God, thank the goddess for this beat.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's move along and talk a little bit about just what's going on generally in Bitch's life right now. Is there something that's been like top of mind for you? Are you currently obsessed with something that's not music related? Like what's of most import to the Bitch?
Oh, I mean, I'm definitely starting to think about my next record.
Yeah.
Okay,
cool.
I know we're not supposed to talk about music.
No, we could totally talk about music. Yeah. 100%.
Starting to think about my next record. Definitely, you know, I had over the years, like the Bitch algorithm has really, it's been, you know, definitely a weenie shrinker.
Yeah.
Like Kill Rockstars like couldn't place any ads
because of the
for
word
the
bitch.
album. Yeah. You know, so that's like the kind of stuff like I'm just thinking about and like how to get around that. I guess I could say this here. You know, I was meeting with Slim a few weeks ago and he was like, I don't know, have you ever have you ever thought about like starting a band or something? Because then, you know, you could like front the band. You know, I get a little overwhelmed with like, oh my God, like rebranding or how to, you know, how will my audience still know that's me? You know, that kind of stuff. But
yeah. Well, do they need to, right? That's the interesting thing. Like, do they really need to know that it's you? You have all these skills that you've developed over all these years. You start this new thing and people love the new thing. And then they're like, oh my God, is that Bitch? It doesn't say on the thing, but they get to, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Something to think
maybe. About. Yeah. So that's definitely something I'm thinking about, you know, identity wise. And, you know, the irony of my life is that my parents named me Karen.
And you broke the mold.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, you know, that's kind of, it's actually like, it would be, I've thought if I started a band, I would call it Karen.
It's kind of great. Come on. It's kind of great.
And it's like so in my in line of like reclaiming
100%.
These words, you know? Although,
God,
you know, Karen is like a little bit of a racist white lady. So I don't know how much I want to like empower that, but I think it also points to that, you know, we are constantly reinventing ways to insult women.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
So, anyway, so I'm starting to dream about the band
it's
Karen.
It's kind of great. It's kind of iconic, right?
Yeah.
Maybe hard to Google, but maybe that works in your favor because people are like Karen video, Karen
Which
video.
One? Yeah.
They want to just hate watch something and they're like, oh, this is quite good.
Oh.
What is this? Who's this feminist lesbian all of a sudden?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's cool. Nice.
Yeah. You know, I think it's also, you know, hard not to, you know, be obsessed with world politics right now and how we, you know, can continue to make art in the face of all of this tragedy. And then, you know, I'm like a total foodie and a total like forager. So I'm excited like for spring to come, like the nettles are blooming, the dandelions are coming up.
Where are you now?
Now I'm in Boston.
You're in Boston. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Some good foraging out that way, I'm sure.
There actually is.
Yeah.
I found a nettle patch right like near my house.
Oh my God. Look out, nettles.
Yeah.
Here she comes.
And then I'll be in P-Town, so there will be like blueberries and
Oh,
all
cool.
sorts of good foraging out there.
Nice. I want to jump back real quick to Pages because I just thought of something. Do you have the poem still that it was kind of based on?
Yeah.
Can I hear it?
Sure.
I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I'm very curious.
Like the esoteric one?
Yeah, like the wackadoodle
Oh
poem.
my God. Yeah. You want me to pull out the deep cuts?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God. Let me see if I could find it. Okay. Let's see. What did I originally call it? I know what I called it. Carcinogen heat. You're like, it's already bad.
It's already terrible. We love it.
Okay, here it is. Yeah. Wow, just pulled that up. Heat lyrics new, try. Okay, this is me. All right. You want me to read this?
I do.
Okay, here we go. Sometimes I think I can see ink, like its future on pages unfolding, and holding me for time to capture, like a bug pinned in collection. And I am my own time machine, and when it stops, I write. I write to hold myself, to mold myself into a comfort of knowing. I write to bold myself, to scold myself, and the summer of growing. I write to remember and hold on. I write to let go and forget. These are the stages. These are the pages I'm in. Like gravel ingrained in my skin. These are the pages. These are the pages I'm in. And then there's this tea, how they say they can see me in leaves, and the promise of energy soothes me like sunshine, that this autumn is hard to find. And that's like a good man, a firm plan, an unwavering hand, or a tan. And I have lain brown-bodied under a carcinogen heat. I was waiting for popularity or unsweet relief. And my sister who laid beside me, who betrayed and denied me, will she always be the essence of sisterhood, burning on the roof? These are the pages. These are the pages I'm in. And what's truth? And what's you? And what's muddy? And what's mine? There are lessons all in smoke. They puff away like it's a joke. But I can see it circling up to the sun, like a runaway about to run, a runaway about to run, to run. And in the sky it dances, like all life's chances, like this stage, and this page, and this cage that I'm in. These are the pages. These are the pages I'm in. That's it.
Yo, that's great. I love that. Yeah. It's not that esoteric. It's out there. I mean,
really?
Yeah. I think that's beautiful.
Oh,
Cool.
Thank you.
But I definitely think you knocked it out of the park with the song too.
Like specifying it more, right?
Mm-hmm. And simplifying, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think both have a way of showing something that's like deep and real and kind of maybe a little difficult to put your finger on all the time, but like to use the notebook analogy to just be like, yo, hey, check it. Look at this thing. Right?
Look at this. This is where I am.
Look at what's going on here. You see? Like It's very
Yes.
visual and it's very good, but cool. It's
Thank
cool
you.
to see that kind of like the source material. That's very
Yes.
nice. Yeah. Love that.
Cool. Thanks for asking.
Of course. Okay. So music, check, gay.
Music
Let's go.
check. Yay.
Let's go. Let's get to the gay part. You
Okay.
are you consider yourself queer. I think
Yeah.
it's a very loud and beautiful queerness.
Aw.
Do you think it was always important to you? Was there a moment where you're like, oh, no, I know something about myself? Or was this something that you just feel like you grew up with it alongside you?
Good question. Because I definitely I never related to this feeling of like, oh, I've always like felt gay in this way. Like, because I had boyfriends in high school that I was very like, had very sweet connections with. And I had a pretty serious boyfriend in college that I loved and still love. And, And then, you kind of look back at like some childhood relationships and you're like, oh, what was going on there? Was that just, was that just
friends?
normal? Yeah.
Were we more than friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always like, in reflection, I'm like, okay, like you always had that, gene in a certain way.
Yeah.
And like, it's funny because I feel like with like the new definitions of like queerness, I love, with the younger generations, like I feel like they're a little more like expansive. For a while there, I felt like, oh my God, everything gay is going to hell because these people are just like obsessed with labels, Whereas like when I was coming of age, we were just like, everyone's gay, and it doesn't matter. But there was something also limiting about that because I felt like it's not like I like lost my attraction to men. In some ways, like I felt like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm like bisexual. But like, actually what I've realized is I'm just attracted to masculine, so it's like, I like to date masculine people, either trans men or, butch women or, it's like in the new paradigm of like, not reducing people to their genitalia in some way. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
100%.
To me, like bisexual, like never like, it felt too like binary.
Totally.
Whereas I've realized like, oh no, my sexuality is like very clear. It's like, this is what I like over here, and that can encompass like, a few different kinds of people.
Sure.
And
there may be even more people in the future it encompasses. We don't know yet.
Right. It is a discovering, life is long. So, but, my first, like, real, like, girlfriend was Animal. So we were partners. And, I feel a little weird saying girlfriend because Animal's now since transitioned. But I feel like he's very, like, fluid with that kind of stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Like, so that was, like, really, like, my first experience with, like, queerness.
Yeah.
And like, boy, did we knock it out of the park. Because I'm like, what's my sexuality? What's my rebelliousness?
Yeah.
What's my politics?
Yeah.
Like they get real murky in there. And like, I feel like once I had these like feminist kind of awakenings, like there were only certain men that even could understand that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it like naturally selected other things and, who I was hanging out with and, so I feel very like grateful to my queerness because I feel like, it's like a thread with my rebelliousness and, and they've worked very well together.
Yeah, that's cool. It's interesting because I like see this kind of path of a younger you figuring this out where you're like, I like men. But I am not attracted to men who don't understand women. So I only like men kind of who are women. And maybe it's a kind of just like realizing like, oh, this is ever shifting. It's gonna keep continuing. Like, here's the things I'm attracted to. Here's the reality of the situation. You're like narrowing down. You're like, also, I'm a little bit radical. Also, I took a bunch of mushrooms and had this feminist awakening. Also, and you're like, interesting. I guess we're stuck with a small handful of wonderful people who I'm not sure what's going on with their identity, but I love them. So that's cool. And I think it is interesting, right? Like talking with, I've talked with people who are younger than me. I've talked with people who are older than me in the confines of this podcast and like seeing what fluidity even means within like the generational differences and knowing that like, we grew up in an era where like in the Midwest, especially like you didn't talk about it. Like you were rebuked out of a room or, violence was enacted upon you if those were things that you even kind of considered out loud outside of small pockets of understanding and wonderful queer people. Like, and then to have that be such a like, oh, okay, here's how that is. And this is what it means to be gay. And then to within that group, all of a sudden be like, oh, but you also like women or you also like men. Like you also like the opposite gender. Well, you're not gay anymore. And then like, well, am I getting kicked out of this little group that I was in?
Yes.
Like, is there a bi group? And it's like, maybe I'm pan. Is that even a word yet that we're using?
Yeah.
Like, and
which it wasn't yet.
Yeah. And to now see people, like I talked with Tanner from Oh Bummer, great band, check them out, the other day. But he was just like, yeah, I don't even know if I'm like queer. And we got to talking and I was like, oh, you're definitely queer. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, but the way, like, it's become so fluid that it's just like, no, I just like love people. And I'm like mostly attracted to pussies, but I love people. And, you know, sometimes I make out with guys and it's like, buddy, like, what?
They are so
the
free.
Definitions are shifting, right? You're like, it's kind of, it's beautiful. And at the same time, it can be confusing. And it can be confusing to know, like, how do I talk about this? Even you saying like, okay, he's transitioned, but that doesn't erase the fact that he was once my girlfriend. And that was like,
that we were
that
like
was a
dykes
big
together.
thing for me, right? Like, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's been a big one.
Cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, I do find the kids like pretty inspiring on that level. Like that they're not so obsessed with figuring it out.
Yeah. They're like, I don't care, whatever. I'm a guy today, I'm a girl tomorrow, and I don't give a shit, and I love people, and sometimes I suck a dick, whatever. Like, it's fine. This is life. How do you feel like that? Because it is interesting. You were saying, you know, kind of things getting tangled with the politics and the identity and the queerness and all that. Like, how do you feel like your art and your identity are intertwined, and your queerness, right? Like, how do those things play off of each other or get in the way of one another? I don't think they do for you, the latter, but maybe. Yeah,
good question. Yeah, it's hard to imagine like one without the other.
Yeah.
You know, I always wonder like if I never, you know, met Animal, would I have even like been an artist? Like I know I would have been an artist, but like would I have ever had like the eggs? Okay, Animal, like our union, like I feel like what the gift of Animal was is he was like a huge thinker. And I didn't have that, you know? It was like Animal who's like, you've got to write the Pussy Manifesto, you know? And then I'm good with a homework assignment. So I'm like, okay, I'll go write the Pussy Manifesto, you know? But like he was really good at like seeing like the hugeness of things. So yeah, it's like, had we not fallen in love, had we just been like, you know, straight people, like would it have fueled like, you know, would there be all this like rage that I had to express or all this like, you know, inequality or, you know, whatever it is that I feel like I've been, you know, rallying against for so long. Like, it is interesting. You know, sometimes I'm like, oh, I might have just been like teaching poetry at a university somewhere, you know? Like, I don't know.
In a floor-length black dress.
That I would not
full
have.
Circle.
Yeah. And like, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, even like the way I approach music, I feel like is kind of queer, you know, like I've never been the person who's like, okay, I'm going to assemble a band and we're going to like rehearse every Tuesday night. I'm not saying like, you know, that's like a straight people thing. Like there's plenty of queer people who make bands like that, you know?
You heard it here, folks. Queer musicians don't rehearse.
Exactly. Yeah, I've just, it's a good question. I'll be thinking about that for a while.
Yeah, cool. That's really cool. And it sounds like, you know, Animal gave you some targets to shoot at and some dreams to have. Like, do you feel like you have one big dream for your life that you're still aiming at, or is it just you're kind of living it?
It's felt like lately I'm living it.
Fuck yeah.
And I would like to have a bigger platform. And that's sometimes why I feel, you know, a little bit what I would call beaver dam is the new cock block, by the way. I feel
Yes.
A little beaver damned, you know, with the bitch thing, because I sometimes feel like, you know, it like closes some doors that might not have been closed otherwise. So yeah, but I feel like the life that I'm living right now is the goal.
Yeah.
And then I would love to have a bigger platform.
Yeah. Cool.
And like,
that's great.
Okay, like a little bit more of a budget, like so I could enter the stage riding my broomstick.
Yeah, definitely. Like, just we
From
got to get the harness
crowd.
set up. Yeah, I get it.
Yes, I'm seeing it.
Beaver Dam. It's so good.
Isn't that good?
I love it. I've not heard this.
My friend just gave me the idea the other day to write the Bitctionary.
Ah, good.
Because I do have a lot of my own words that I've made up, and Beaver Dam is one of them.
I'm going to offer a synonym for that, which is cunt stunt. Like if something gets stunted and you just,
Ooh,
that's a freebie. Go ahead. You put it right next to Beaver Dam. It's like, sometimes your growth is stunted by someone. Okay, cool.
Love it.
Do you feel like budget is obviously one thing, right? Like getting that budget, getting a bigger platform. Do you feel like that there's a sort of ideal world for an artist? Like if you could say, hey, we're rewriting how this thing is done, how this music thing is done. Like, what's your first step? What are you going to say? Hey, world, this is what we're doing now.
For sure. Buy music from people.
Yeah.
The streaming thing is just like, I for sure noticed a change in my whole life when that started happening. And I would say like, I would say that my ideal village is like tithing. So the artist can have, resources to work with.
Yeah.
They're not like having to go out and like freaking do, Kickstarters all the time. There's like a sense of like, we need to like care, we need to like pay for our artists just like we pay for our water, I
love that. Well, and think about this, right? Like everyone treats music as God in the sense that it's always available. You just can access it at any time, but you're not tithing to it. Like, come on. Like if we're gonna have this antiquated patriarchal structure around everything that's going on anyway, why can't we implement this to the things that actually matter to us and have there be this like this is your patron fee. It's one of the taxes that comes with your state, and it goes and the funds go out to musicians who need it. Yeah. I'm with you 100%. Is there something that you would tell little baby bitch about what it means to be a musician? If you could go back in time.
Oh, I think something I've been celebrating lately and like knowing that like I'm in the right place because I have had some, quite a bit of agony over my own career or whatever is to like remember like you're here to like lift people.
Yeah.
And like it is like a community service.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always like what I've been interested in. Like when I was a little kid, like I wanted to be a social worker. It's like I've always been interested in like helping people. So understanding and honoring that making art does that.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. I love that. That's great. I want to, I know we got time to consider here, so I want to jump into our lightning round. I've got a handful of questions for you.
All right, sweet.
Number 1, where do you go when you die?
Ooh, into the earth.
Sweet. Great.
Compost,
Once
baby.
we came, ashes to ashes, baby. Is there a God?
Yes.
Okay. Can anyone be a musician?
Yes.
Good. Sure. Do you believe anyone is really 100% straight?
No.
What's your favorite song?
Ooh. Oh, Joni Mitchell Coyote.
Oh, there you go. Right there. What's your favorite book?
Ooh, Prayer for Owen Meany.
Nice. What's your favorite color?
Green.
Flavor?
Bitter.
Cool. That's interesting. And what is your word of the year?
Ooh, beaver.
Beaver dam. Okay. Fuck, marry, kill.
Okay.
But you have to choose them.
Okay. Oh, I have to choose the people?
Yeah, 100%. Uh-huh.
Ah! Oh my God. Who would I fuck? Who would I marry? Who would I kill?
Exactly.
Okay. Kill is easy. I would take, of course, Trump out. I would, Clarence Thomas. Let's get rid of him. Let's get rid of, the other turd up there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Is that Mitch
who did I
McConnell or
fuck?
who are we
Oh
thinking
my
of?
God.
The
What'd you
others
say?
could be any of hundreds of people.
Yeah, there's so many options.
Yeah.
God, who would I fuck? Oh my God.
Such a long list.
I know. Oh, let me name one. God, this is hard. This is exposing.
I know.
I'm blushing.
I know. You're matching your background. It's wonderful.
Oh God, marry, kill. I don't know.
Any Mary top of mind? Is there anyone that you're like, that would be a good partner?
That's who I would marry. Okay, how about somebody like Michelle Indigo?
Okay. Yeah, great. Why not?
Why not?
Sounds amazing. Wake up to that every day? Sure. Okay, so you're going to write a line of a song with me. God is an echo of your thoughts. Yep. God is the ocean and the blue raindrops. Come with me, the sky is getting dark. Tomorrow never is too far. I'm calling that verse 1. Idols are poisoning your thoughts. Real's what you make it, and it's been here all along. There's no extra credit for suffering. Lug and Lynn, your bud.
Oh, I see. We're doing like a adding on to. Okay.
So your line number 8, which I would say officially closes out verse number 2. So we're about to lead into the pre-chorus or chorus. We're not sure.
Oh, look at that kitty.
Well, screaming demon. He was at the door just mewling at me.
Okay, what do you think?
So live it up now because this may be your only one. Yeah. Love it.
Right into the chorus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, last couple questions.
Okay.
If this podcast had a slogan, what would it be?
Hey, gays.
Hey, gays.
Queer talk?
Queer talk. Cool. Queer talk. Cool. Great. Is there anything else that you want to add? I'm going to plug everything at the end, but...
Oh, thank you. Yeah, just keep your ears peeled for new music. I'm going to be releasing a new version of the Pussy Manifesto soonish. And I think that's it.
Cool. That's great. Can't wait. Can't wait to hear it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Music.gay. You can find us on Instagram at Music.gay. You can email us at music.gay@gmail.com. It's all spelled out, music, DOTGAY. And then go find Bitch.
Go
Bitch
find
is an
me.
icon.
Bitch Music.
Yeah. Bitch Music. At Bitch Music on Instagram. Bitch, you're an icon. You're a legend. You're an inspiration. Everyone deserves to have some bitch in their life. Bitchmusic.com. You can find music, videos, show and tour dates, love letters, vinyls, amazing clothes, stickers that go perfectly on your trapper keeper. There's lots to explore. Support queer artists in general, support women, support local musicians, join Bitch's Patreon, send her an email, tell her how much you love her, share her stuff, share this podcast with all your wonderful friends. Thank you, Bitch, for coming on the show today. If people are in, is it Massachusetts? Princetown? No.
Provincetown, yeah, Massachusetts.
Provincetown over the summer. Check out the one-woman show. Hey, Bitch.
Hey, Bitch, yeah.
Hey, Bitch.
Yep.
With the music from Bitchcraft. Go check out Bitchcraft. Seriously, it's so good. This cat is losing his mind. Thank you all. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Until then, stay gay and cheers, queers. Love you all.